everybody. Welcome back to Old Reader, New Reader. I'm back. And let's hope it stays that way.
You had a little bit of trouble. Just a little.
Yeah, so obviously I've had a saga of just internet issues for a while, which is why I have been gone. But it worked just fine during the 3.5 hour long Evergreen stream. And during like a 2-hour stream with Jess. So, God willing, this will be fine. Anyways, we're back. And weekly, ideally. Scuffed, depending on how scuffed the stream is, using the VTuber term. Do other people use that term scuffed outside the VTuber world where like your stream isn't good?
I've never heard that term. I'm sorry. I must be near.
Oh my. I guess because you don't watch VTubers. Anyways, Twitch streamers always say scuffed. Like there's like
okay.
they're having
their models like jump around.
Yeah, there's issues or like their things aren't working well. Their OBS or whatever. Anyways, not important. Tina, welcome back to All Your New.
Oh yeah, we didn't introduce. Hi, I'm
sorry.
Tina.
I just jumped in. Welcome back, Tina.
Thank you.
One of my dear friends, a near mint OG, and someone who's seen a lot more frequently on the show right now than I.
Yeah, I was on his show recently, and I run his TikTok. So yeah, if you don't follow us on TikTok at Near Mint Condition, I run his TikToks. So you'll hear my voice a lot, but you won't see me half the time.
Hello, Mark. So, all right, since it's been a while, do your reintroduction over your new reader if you haven't been here in a while, because I haven't been here in a while. We usually have an older reader and a newer reader. Now, this is at the beginning, it was Omar was the old reader, and I was the new reader. That's changed now. I'm the host. Now we just try to choose a book that one of us hasn't read, and then we talk about it. So originally, I was going to have Tina come on and we talk about something DC because she's not as DC a person. But instead, X-Men was suggested, and she's like, "Have you read one of these?" I think Mutant Massacre is one of them, and I was like, "No, I haven't read Mutant Massacre." And then you're like, "Oh, Omar says you have." I was like, "Oh, whoops."
Last year, you did Mutant Massacre. Then what was the other one that we threw around?
The classic one, God Saves Man. What is that?
Gotcha. No, you're so close.
I'm so close.
You're so close. God loves, man kills.
God love, man kills. Thank you. So this time we are talking about Days of Future Past. And yes, it is a movie, but it is also the comic.
Yeah, it's not the movie. It's not the rehash that the original, or I shouldn't say original, but the animated series did with Bishop and stuff. It is the original OG from 1980? Yeah, 1980.
Yeah, and what's wild is like with a lot of event books, right? Those tend to be like issues upon issues upon issues, or at least like 6 to 7 issues. But right. Despite this being one that's such a prominent, like well-known X-Men story people refer back to a lot, like always have. I mean, they made like a whole movie about like with this story arc when it's only 2 issues. Now, granted, after this, we do, from my understanding, as someone who's not a well-read X-Men person, they do bring future X-Men storyline back. And I think recently too, like I was gonna read it. I think I might read it this week. They brought back this like Days of Future Past, like 2023. So like another like
it
revisit.
becomes sort of a theme that they touch upon occasionally. Like when you're altering the past to go to the future, you're gonna get like little snippets of how did this change? Did this change? And then new iterations of that as the media goes forward.
A handy reminder that I still need to pick up the Days of Future Yet to Come epic. Days of Past Future. Oh, did I say? Anyways,
it's okay. It's Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past.
It's okay. You'll get. You're so close to these titles.
It is amazing how much. I'm scuffing that because this is not my realm. So X-Men. Wait, I'll say my piece and then we'll read James's reminder comment. I love animated X-Men a lot. I'm a huge
Evolution,
fan.
right?
Well, Evolution's my favorite.
You were the Evolution kid, yeah.
But I like classic X-Men. I like a lot of X-Men like in that way. And I like a lot of uh X-Men offshoot stories that involve X-Men a lot. Like I love Magic. I love a lot of these like smaller stories. But I'm not a big X-Men reader. Now part of that's because I feel like you have to start so early. And I'm notoriously not a fan of wordy books. And so I'm gonna get dinged on this one again, just like Dark Phoenix. And I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to be that person, but it's gonna happen again. So far on our reading, we've read X-Men: God Loves Man Kills, Dark Phoenix Saga, which is still notorious in Over Your New Reader lore. Omar was drunk and upset with how much I was not a fan of that book. X-Men from the Ashes, X-Men Disassembled, Wolverine and the X-Men, which I love Wolverine and the X-Men, X-Men Mutant Massacre and Exterminators. And of course, also anything with X-23, I love.
Laura?
So much. Yes.
Yeah.
She's great. So that's my kind of background.
I was a big
comic books.
X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, they were my pull files when I was really big into comics. I still kept a few single issues. I don't know if I've got them here, but so X-Men was the one title that I was really into. I was kind of into Excalibur, but outside of anime, it was X-Men all the way. So yeah. I'm the old reader in this one. You're the new reader.
Yeah. Well, in this case, do you want me to give the quick summary, or do you want to give the quick summary?
Either or. So essentially, we have fairly been newly introduced as far as the world scheme to Kitty Pryde. She's recently joined the X-Men. She's finding herself. She's a young plucky.
And she's like 13 and a half.
She's 13 like 13 and a half. Which is exactly
wild. I don't know how, and I really not sure how old Colossus is, but I know they don't start the romance yet. Anyway, sorry. I was like, no,
that is perfectly fine. I don't remember how old Jubilee was when she joined the X-Men, but it's sort of that, like, you're trying to reintroduce like a young reader. You're occasionally trying to introduce characters that fit or some new reader can see themselves in. And certainly like Kitty Pryde, I was born in 1982. So Kitty Pryde is sort of like my sister's Gen. That's sort of like Gen X and stuff, even though like Jubilee joined Gen X. Anyways, enough dialogue there. But she is introducing or a gateway to get newer, younger readers into the X-Men and have something to relate to. But it is so crazy that she very quickly, you kind of see that she's clinging on to Colossus. And anyways.
I mean, I love them together, so it's fine.
It's adorable.
I mean, like eventually 5. I don't know their ages yet, so I didn't say anything.
Right.
But future them together is great.
The future with them together is correct, especially in Days of Future Past. So it is very dystopian. It's very world shattering that we get suddenly dropped into right after Wendigo. So the issue beforehand, we get suddenly dropped into this completely different.
Wendigo?
I think you're right. I think that's the correct pronunciation is Wendigo.
It's okay. See, this is what I knew was going to even out because I'm going to keep saying X-Men titles wrong.
And I'll mispronounce all the names.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you read things only and you don't hear them. You basically come out with your own pronunciation.
Everyone chat. One time we walked past the Coach store, Tina said Coach. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, and I don't have an excuse like Omar. English is my first language. So we are immediately dropped in a very sort of like Terminator, like Judgment Day future where Sentinels have taken over. Mutants have basically effectively been wiped out except for a small population. There are resistance areas or pockets of resistance, but effectively North America has been taken over by Sentinels. And this stems from something in the past, which we get more involved as it kind of goes back and forth between past, future. But we see Kate, Pride. You know, she's no longer going by the moniker like Kitty or you know, you're not calling her Sprite at this time because before she was Shadowcat, she was Sprite.
Which I had no idea. I feel like I've been reading comics for so long, and I was like, "Wait, for real?
Who is this Sprite? Is this a twin sister?" So before we get Shadowcat, we have Sprite, very young Kitty Pride, and we meet 33 years into her future, a older Kitty Prider, Kate. I hate referring to her as Kate. I'm gonna call her Kitty, weird. Guys. It's just so unusual to call her Kate.
Even reading X-Men comics now, she's still Kitty, and she's like an
still
adult.
Kitty. Right, even as an adult, you know? She's Kitty. That's who we know her as. You know, that's what I'm most familiar with. Now, in this future, she is Kate. So hopefully that future never comes to fruition. But she is basically one of the mutants with a collar, a power inhibitor, or, you know, a monitoring collar. But the Sentinels have allowed her to take excursions for deliveries for them. Why? Who knows why Sentinels would actually do this? It's comics, so we forget about that. But she's basically going back to the concentration camp. Let's call it like it is. In this world, there are humans, which are denoted by big H's on their clothing. Those can breed. They pretty much have reign, even though the Sentinels rule over them. There are humans that carry genes that cannot breed. And then there's mutants.
Real quick.
Yes.
Thanks for the super sticker, Mr. Tex. Hello, July sisters. I assume that refers to birthdays. Thank you for remembering.
Thank you. And then there's like these little offshoots, like bands called Rogues, which you probably are like, what is Rogue doing down in these? It's not Rogue. It is a group of rogues that they hate mutants. They're mutant haters, basically. And then there's the Canadian like resistance team, which is what Logan is part of.
Which is our future.
We'll get into that. But essentially, Canada is trying to help out this pocket of mutants, trying to break them free because, like I said, there's not a lot of mutants yet. And they're basically trying to prevent not only a complete wipeout of mutants, but also the Sentinels from spreading from North America, which is pretty scary. You're thinking about everybody else is like, oh, we hate mutants. But you know what? Now we hate the Sentinels more because it's kind of like, I don't want to use certain terms, but basically they want to control everything. They are going to find a way to get the world under their control and how they see it should be. And this mimics, you know, things that have happened in our past. It's something that's mimicking things that have repeatedly occurred throughout world's history of one
definitely
group.
Nothing that feels really eerily similar to right now at all.
No, nothing that feels similar.
We wouldn't say that. Comics aren't political, right? And definitely not X-Men.
Right. So. And this is probably one of the reasons why, because you were suggesting very heavy-handed titles like Mutant Massacre, very big messages, and I was like, you know what feels current right now? These two issues. And it only takes 2 issues to get straight to the point. And it feels very now. It's like, oh, I forgot how much this feels now with like Senator Kelly and
it's definitely a police state there. Yeah, because I mean, basically, they've manufactured something where like because of what happened, because of like the bad mutants, right? Like creating this situation. Now everyone's against mutants, regardless of which is typical throughout X-Men, right? Regardless of what they've done. And then it ends up kind of creating this opportunity then for Sentinels to come in and for this kind of group to come in and do these things. And it's like, oh wait, we didn't mean it like that though. We didn't mean it like that though, actually.
Well, I mean, like the quickest way to get people to pull together is to create an enemy. People fear something that they do not understand. And in the world of X-Men, much like a lot of like superhero books, like people do fear people with superhuman powers. They don't understand it. They don't know just like humanity itself. They don't know where this person is coming from. They don't know their ideals or ideology, and it makes people fearful that someone might be superior to them in some ways.
Thank you. Oh, bye, Mr. Tex.
Bye.
I just keep side eye when police keep building robots.
Oh man. Just side eye. Yeah, if they have that familiar like purple fuchsia like color scheme, I'm really gonna side eye something real fierce because them scaries.
They'll have to remake all their flags. Anyways.
Sorry to be long-winded, but like, so this is America's, I guess, future. Hopefully not now.
Yeah, the I think it was like, yeah, the far-flung future of 2013 is what this is set.
Rich, we've already passed. Thankfully, we've already passed. But it was a far-flung future for 1980, like 33 years in the future. Like 2013 is a long way. Like think of what 33 years from now is. I don't even want to think. I'll be in my 70s.
We're still not going to have hoverboards, so it doesn't matter. All I care is if they can put our brands into an MMORPG, that's all I want. I want .hack life, okay? Let me upload is what I want.
But they eventually they have a plot to basically inhibit the callers to allow one of the members, Rachel Summers, to help send Kitty back into the past right before it happened to warn everybody to prevent it. You know, like the harebrained schemes from like Terminator. Let's send somebody back to the past to prevent this future and just mess the timeline up. So this is basically what they want. I guess you could say not mess the timeline up, actually fix the timeline because nobody wants this future.
There was this kind of cute, but there's this moment where everything sucks so bad. There's like the remaining X-Men, there's like 4 of them alive.
Right.
And they're getting ready to do this. They're teaming up together.
You have a member from Fantastic Four. You've got Magneto.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Kitty. Yeah. But like, and Colossus. And Colossus is like, but what's going to happen to us? To our love. And she's like, I have to save like 1 billion people.
Yeah, like
she's like, if we're meant to fall in love, we'll fall in love again.
If basically like
I love him. He's just like, I love you though. I'm like,
he could unintentionally be like a supervillain with that one comment, like, I would destroy 1 billion lives just for our love. That's a difference between a villain and a hero. The hero is
but I think he's dreamy.
Not my type.
Because he's got muscles. Tina doesn't like men with muscles, so.
No.
But
no.
But I like just anybody with muscles.
You do.
I might be misremembering, but I think they just call her Rachel in this. They don't say Summers.
Yeah.
But it's revealed. I mean, like, this is Rachel Summers, right? I assume it like maybe retcon later.
I'm pretty sure, like, from memory, that's why I'm calling her Rachel Summers. I think they do just say Rachel, but I know it's Rachel Summers. So
it's confirmed. So it is Rachel Summers, but I bet they don't actually mention that connection until later.
Yeah, I don't think they do. Like, this is where my knowledge comes from. So, like, having read the comics, I know it's Rachel Summers. I don't think everybody, like, if you're just reading this for the first time, you're not necessarily going to know that it's Rachel Summers.
Well, yeah, because you would, unless you've read things about Rachel, which, see, I've done that. I know who that person is.
You do.
See? I've read X-Men books, just the random ones. Just the random storylines.
And I love how we've got a very mature Kitty, in this chapter or in this book. And then we have very, very new Kitty, like just entering the danger room. Let's just test out your power.
She's like, the door was locked. I had to come in. And they're like, of course the door was locked. It's supposed supposed to. Like, you should be in here. It's not safe. And it's so cute because like this whole time, because I read like a couple issues before this when she's first joining too.
Mm-hmm.
but she is also like still weird around Kurt.
Yeah, so
Like
that
she's
very
like, that guy
obviously
freaks
like,
me out.
yeah.
Very cute.
I mean, even the rest of the X-Men, when they finally get her into the danger room and actually doing her test, like they're laughing. They're like, she breezed through this like little
With her
moments of
eyes
brevity
closed.
with her eyes closed. Like, get a load of this. Professor Xavier like spent so much time programming this, and she just breezed through this. And that's when we have Rachel sending the older cat or kitty back into the past, back in not just as a person going back into the past, but going back into the memory of younger Kitty.
I don't know what happened. You keep saying it.
No, you're okay. So she goes back into the past. Where did Maddie go? Are you slinking around?
Close my door. Listen, I usually turn my camera off before I stand up. So congratulations, you've seen. I have a lower part of my body.
We gotta hide that.
At least I had on like pants.
Did you?
Yeah.
It looked like you were grimling walking.
It was too funny. I could see myself in the camera. I'm like, it was fun.
But essentially she gets sent back into her body in the 13-year-old's body, but 33-year-old mind. And it does tell us kind of, Rachel lets us know that young Kitty's mind is now in the future with her. They've swapped, which is horrible to think that a 13-year-old...
she's passed out, so.
But she is passed out in this one. So I'm thankful for that, because could you imagine if she woke up and sees this world like...
Oh my God, I know.
Trauma dump.
It's reverse 13 going on 30.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, it's great too, because like immediately, like everyone's like, even Logan's like, hey, I can tell, because she's holding herself differently.
Yeah, she kind of
like,
smells, or she's presenting like a mature woman, not how a 13-year-old should act. And they're all like, are you sure? Is this really like... She could be pulling her chain. Something's happened. She's got knocked in the head, she's feeding us a fairy story. But she's actually, that's her. She is really the Kitty from the future.
Yeah, I was hoping that they push more on the whole Kurt thing, because I was like, why else set up this whole thing where she's like, Kurt, and she does like, clean him, like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. But I thought that would be the moment they're like, no, trust me, this is a different Kitty. She would never.
Right.
But still, it all works out, because she does show up. She warns Aurora. I mean, that's so hard to say. I'm not going to say her name. Storm.
No, it's okay. It's very hard to say. Hard. I always say Storm.
Maybe it's because it's Southern. I don't know why it's hard. So Kentucky accents. And she's like, you told me in the future it would be hard to convince you.
Like,
and to be fair,
you would be the hardest one to convince.
I don't think Kitty did a great job the minute she showed up. I think she could have explained any of that better. But she immediately was like, oh my God, you're alive. I'm like, duh, Kitty. Focus.
Well, I mean...
I understand. I'm like, focus.
The shock of, like, knowing that, and I've got, like, everybody's dead.
Oh,
like,
so sad.
You see all of them, and she has to walk when she enters the camp, like, every time she enters the camp or leaves the camp, she has to walk by their grave. And that's something that hit me really hard as like a younger, kid, is like, she's walking past the graves of like her mentors, her friends, her teammates, constantly reminded that for some reason she's got survivor's luck. Like, this is survivor's guilt.
And she even said that like they're the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Which makes even more sense that she would be more than willing to do this. One for the possibility of helping her friends, but if it fails, at least she's free.
Right.
Like at least she can be done.
Right. And I haven't pointed out one thing, the sort of like, we kind of get to meet the people who are potentially behind the assassination, the takedown that started all this. And we meet basically the Brotherhood sons, without Magneto, because I believe at this point in time, if memory serves, because I just refreshed my mind on these two, Magneto is believed to be dead Spoilers, he's not.
Maybe everyone's lead to be dead all the time, constantly, especially Charles.
Right.
Yeah, so we've got Destiny, the blind woman who can see the future, aka Mystique's girlfriend. Sometimes. We have Pyro, Master of the Living Flame, Avalanche, whose touch disintegrates inanimate objects, Mystique, and of course the Blob.
Yeah.
Not my favorite. Toad's my favorite, but that's fine. We love Toad here.
I like how dense Blob is sometimes. Like, I hate to like how just sort of like a gag he is sometimes, or how dense he is.
It makes me so sad because there's some good stories, like modern stories about the Blob that are really sweet, and I really appreciate because it's the time. It's the time.
Well, it's the time that it's very forward thinking, but also not forward thinking. It's comics looking forward and having very, at the time, like progressive thoughts and stuff like that, but still implementing it
progressive.
Right.
Well, and you and I have read a lot of things that were like, it's fine. It's what it is. As anime lovers, it's just like, yeah, it's what it is, isn't it?
This is more progressive than a lot of anime.
It's more progressive than a lot of things right now. To be honest.
And the fact that
people with birthdays, like,
yeah, oh my goodness, but it's interesting. So we have this setting up like this. Like, because we don't know originally, it doesn't really say too much like who's involved at first on the assassination. Obviously, people turn against mutants, so it's got to be mutants or somebody mutant related that did this. And then we find out that Mystique has been pulling some strings behind the scenes. She's gotten new people into the Brotherhood, and they are going to F some stuff up here.
Yeah,
F up their future really
cool. Because even though, Kitty manages to get there in time with the X-Men, she does have this moment because everyone says every bit of their thoughts out loud, always. Not out loud, but you'll never guess when you'll never have to guess when anybody's thinking ever in this comic, because that's just the time. But she's like, I don't know for sure who did this.
Right.
So I can't go ahead and I can't just leave any spot. I need to make sure I'm witnessing everyone. Even if I stop one person, there's no guarantee. Because at this point, especially when she doesn't see Mystique right away.
Right. And Mystique could be anybody. That's why it's like you're not sure who it was. And if you're not in the room where it happens, if it wasn't, televised, then how do you really know it was them, or the media blaming them, or there's this
well, especially when you have the personality that they have here. Is the Senator Kelly, who is very much anti-mutant. This is a hearing about mutants at this point. And so regardless, he is upset no matter if somebody's there, because the X-Men show up to save him. And he's just like, how dare you freaks turn the United States Senate into a battlefield, even though they are only there to help him.
Right.
But he's like, whoa, both of you did this. Thanks for nothing.
Well, I mean that's the history of the X-Men. They're they're swimming upstream. They are both fighting, there are other mutants who are like, hey, why are you fighting us? We're all mutants. Our common enemy is the humans who hate us. They're fighting the humans that hate them to try to bring and they're very careful on how they do it. And Professor Xavier, Scott, Cyclops, Psych is very we have to watch what we do. We have to make sure that we cross our T's, dot our I's, and we have to be far cleaner than anybody else because we are swimming upstream. We want to make a future that is better for both mutant kind and humankind, while being opposed by both mutant kind and humankind.
Yeah.
So they really have to watch what they're doing. And unfortunately, spin doctors like Trask and all these other, hands in the gate, the Brotherhood, they're going to spin it in a way that looks best for them, or spin it in a way where they get some level of control. And it maybe it's mirroring what's going on right now in the world.
I
Like,
don't know why you would say that.
It's
Comics
all on
aren't
who
political.
controls.
Remember comics in the 80s?
It's very political. I mean, we're coming out of the 70s at this time, so we're coming out of Nam
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it is a commentary for the times, and it's a
Oh,
commentary
yeah.
because things like this happen, you
Oh,
know,
constantly. I mean, this is a very,
constantly.
like, in every
You
country.
you can find it mirroring dialogues, way past where we are now, like 33 years in the future,
Maybe.
maybe.
I hope that your future you sends her conscious back to you now.
The only thing that I had problems with reading back then as a kid and now was like, if you can truly see into the future, how did you not originally see that you're going to mess stuff up?
Oh, do you mean for which one?
For Destiny, like,
Well, Destiny, didn't she kind of say, like, because Kitty is an anomaly, maybe? That's why? That
right.
she couldn't
Well,
quite.
that's how they explain it out. But like, originally, before Kitty popped up,
Oh,
wouldn't you've seen
she couldn't
something?
see the whole future. Yeah, I
Right.
don't know, because I'm not as familiar with how Destiny, like, her ability works long term. Does she just see a quick thing? Does she see, like, a.
I wasn't really into
Because
Destiny, and I didn't really pay
this
attention to that
this
character that
can't
much.
this can't be the future you would want long term.
Right, and I don't remember, like, because I did have to go back and refresh my memory, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember this and this." I couldn't remember anything about Destiny beside a blip here or there. So I couldn't remember if her powers only extend so far out. But they do say that Kitty, because she's an anomaly, something is blocking her future sight.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of fighting and back and forth. And like during this whole point, we're seeing the times when we are in the courtroom in the past, and then I'll switch to the future. So we go back and forth to see how they're doing, because in the future it's also not really going well. We get to the point where like what we
Right.
presume they're about to all die. Everyone's
Yeah.
just getting kind of killed off. Storm died. I mean, that's just the path we're going, where they're all just trying to keep Kitty alive long enough, hoping that she
That
can make a change in the past.
right.
Um, and this, well, no, I'll get to my critiques after. But there's this very tense bit of like the back and forth. It's very well balanced in between the two, because you do feel a sense of urgency, because even though that isn't the future, she's in the past right now, she still has an amount of time in
Right,
which
because
to make the
Rachel
change.
is barely holding it together. Like, I'm surprised that Franklin got picked off, like Colossus is getting picked off. These other characters are getting picked off, but here's like Kitty and like Rachel like just like huddling together. Yeah, Kitty's passed
Yeah,
out and they haven't beefed it yet.
it's so sad. Klaus is crying about it.
Yeah.
And then it eventually culminates in this moment where she is able to surprise Destiny and
Right.
phase through her, and her phasing through her as well is also messing with it messes with her mind about this because of the anomaly. So it just
Right.
kind of messes her up, and she's able then to save the senator, and
Yeah,
it
so
all
Senator
works
Kelly
out.
gets saved. Kitty's mind, like right after she kind of like phases through and prevents that assassination by Destiny. So Destiny is basically shooting like a missile, a dart to Senator Kelly. She phases through, saves Senator Kelly, and then at that point in time, that's the trigger that basically swaps their minds again.
Yeah.
Because she does exactly what she sought out to do as an older individual. And I said Trask. I actually meant Gyrick. We meet Gyrick at the very end of this comic.
Yeah.
So I meant Gyrick the entire time. So we meet basically Kelly gets introduced to Gyrick, who's like, "Don't worry, I got you, fam. Let me introduce you to my program here that I would like to establish in North America."
So it's never over for the X-Men.
No, it's absolutely never over.
So there's a lot to talk about here. I do have one point of one quick thing while I have, because I have the comic right in front of me.
Yeah.
Now that Marvel Unlimited is actually usable, there's this moment where Kurt ends up seeing another version of himself, and he's like, "Oh my god, what the devil?" And then they fight, and then when it transforms into Mystique, he's like, "What? Mystique?" As if it could be anyone else. Can we just? You're Mystique.
You're talking about this right here, right?
Yes. Like, duh, it's Mystique. What did you think it was? Kurt?
And immediately
the other changeling is dead because there was one that like pretended to be Professor Xavier and then was killed. It's obviously Mystique. You knew she was here, my guy. You see a version of yourself and you're like, what is this? Kurt.
Like I said, so Marvel, especially this time, likes to kind of give you more info than needed. Now they pull back from that a lot, but they give you a lot more info than needed because essentially this could be someone's first comic.
Yeah.
And so they really like to reinforce that for new readers, it is something that is much more easily like consumed as a first reader to get that information, because as a first time reader, you don't know who the heck, you don't know if they've had any type of dialogue or history in the past.
It's just wild because she's seen at the beginning of this issue, like they're all in the same room together. It's like, well,
we know
I know that they bring it up because they want to like start the whole conversation so they can be like, hey, you guys look alike. What's that about?
What's that about? I mean, you both have like blue skin, yellow eyes. I mean,
that's so weird.
The figures are a little bit off, but you're pretty much the same person outside, like Mystique being Mystique and Nightcrawler being Nightcrawler.
Yeah, overall, I really like the overall story and message, and I tend to always with especially X-Men stories like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's seeing the way it mirrors real life and like what the messaging is. I always love that, like, and you can say about every X-Men comic, right? Every time we talk about like a classic X-Men comic, except for like Dark Phoenix Saga, right? But but God love man kills. Like the parallels to things and talking, using the X-Men as like a metaphor for like another disenfranchised group, like minority group, and like the difficulties that faces where they have to work twice as hard to get respect.
Right.
Whereas, of course you have groups that are like, was being peaceful ever done for us? Right. And there's so many interesting ways to look through it. And this was such an interesting way too, to see how a future can go wrong from one moment and how one moment can set off, like it can create this like window of opportunity for a group in power to completely shift the narrative.
Or not even a group in power yet, because like he's, if memory serves, I think he was up for election and was campaigning or like grandstanding at this time. I'd have to actually.
You're so right. I've been thinking about that the entire, like, for the last 20 minutes. The way it lines up.
Oh yeah, your head.
I'm Ravager. It just make you laugh too. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. People love a vacuum, and they will absolutely try to take control of that narrative. We saw that in several countries in the past when dictators take shape or form, or like juntas and stuff. So I don't want to say we're seeing that now, but like we are seeing what happens when somebody warps or grabs hold of a narrative with certain issues. Like, does this really affect you? But if it's something that you're afraid of, if it's something that can scare you, of course, you're going to put limitations on it. You're going to make rules about it. I'm just saying something like, maybe it mirrors something like trans lives or something like that.
Well, yeah, so, even like it shows like the slippery slope, right? Where like it's right this now, but we show in the future how it affects everybody as a group, how it makes things difficult for everyone. But even people that aren't part of the group, but just are like sort of related, like those humans that have a dormant mutant gene that doesn't develop in any powers, but the fact they have it at all means that they are like
suspect.
They lose their ability to reproduce. Like
right.
that is taken away from them. I was about to say genophage. That's a Mass Effect term. That's not a real life term.
No, yeah. I know exactly what you mean when you said genophage, though. So yeah, I mean that's what happened with, Grunt and his race. So yeah, like unfortunately, like if they fear you or they're going to put controls on you. And then because this other group is slightly related to this group, well, we need to make sure that this group is controlled too. Because we over here, far separated from these groups, well, we need to make sure we are safe, that nothing can harm us, that our way of life, our ethos, the way it is, stays the same. And how do we do that? We're going to take rights away from this group. We're going to limit them severely. And now, you know what? This group might pose us a danger too. So we're going to limit their rights. But it might harm us. But that's okay if we're okay with that. If we get some of our stuff taken away too, so long as we repress these groups down. The joy of X-Men. The joy of X-Men is like, sometimes there's very over your head themes like this. And the reason I wanted to read this is like Mutant Massacre, Days of Future Past. Those are some of my favorite books. I do like God Loves, Man Kills. That one's really hit you over the head, like right in your face. I think that's Omar's favorite, but this one is
it's fantastic.
This one's within my top 5. I say this one's almost like my number 1. I absolutely love this just because, it's my childhood. It's vastly nostalgic.
Yeah. I struggle with this only because it's one of those things where I love the story beats a lot. But
Did you struggle because it was Chris Clairemont writing and it's very wordy?
But I'm not going to put that on him. I'm going to put it on the time because this happens with a lot of books. Because my issue is now, and I understand where it's coming from. So I try to balance because I think it's very well done. I think the art's fantastic. I think John Byrne's great. I don't think the writing is bad, but it doesn't suit my taste a lot because it over-explains everything. This. And I don't care for there's like a line in here that made me. So when Mystique,
you're hating on that scene with Mystique. That's what.
No, not that one. It's different.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, okay. I was talking about before. So she's like pretending to be a cop. She uses this always like a nerve gas. And you see in the next panel. Okay, Moira McTaggart and Charles Xavier are passed out. Now, you and I can already presume from seeing this, they've been knocked out or paralyzed. That's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Now, because it's a comic in the early 80s, they have to over-explain what just happened. So she says, that shot of nerve gas instantly paralyzed you now, deprived you of your telepathic guidance, with only the woefully inexperienced Storm to lead the X-Men. With only the experienced Storm to lead them, the X would be fatally crippled. You are my most dangerous foe, Xavier. I should kill you while I have the chance. But for the moment, I think you're of more use as a potential hostage. Now, this is not bad dialogue, but for my type of reading, to me, it's like you have overstated everything where you don't have to do that. Now, that is just comics that write that. That's like I grew up reading manga first before I read comic books. So I'm always going to have a bias for like using your environment to show things more than just saying it out loud. But I think your point, what you said earlier, made a lot of sense. Where it's like it's important to over-explain for new readers to get the issues. So I understand. Yeah. But it'll always be more difficult for me to like truly enjoy this era of X-Men because of things like that. Where I'm just like, I get it. Yeah, thank you for over-explaining, so I never have to like put the pieces together. Yeah. But I'm not trying to I don't want to dog it like this is crap because of that, because I don't think it is. It's just like it doesn't suit my type of reading.
Right.
I don't like being over-explained to, personally.
I don't mind it. Maybe it's because this is what I grew up reading. Yeah. It's these very dialogue heavy. It's going to explain some of the background. It's going to explain some of the things that you already saw, even within the initial comic. But you also have to realize when I was reading these things, I was like 10 years old, I was an introductory reader or, like this stuff is stuff that reinforced the idea of what was going on in the picture.
Yeah.
It helped formulate the scene and kind of fleshed it out for you as a child. As an adult, you don't necessarily need that. It is sort of more a product of its time. You don't get a lot of that anymore in modern day comics, but it's something I don't mind at all. It is a lot more dense, a lot wordier, but it's
Well, and
certainly not as wordy as things that came before it.
well, and there's some things I really like it wordy.
Mhm.
It's like I think like reading a novel with pictures. Like Wonder Woman Historia
Yeah.
it's very wordy. And there's some books I like they're like very poetic. And like, yeah, there's a lot
Yes.
of words, but it feels like rich
It
and
flows.
beautiful.
It flows.
Because I read a lot of novels. James, if you're still in the chat, I do need to tell you that I am reading Poppy War. Sorry, it took me forever. I'm over halfway. It can be difficult for me.
Gotcha.
But I always give my extra preface because people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, Maddie sucks." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't grow up with it, but I still like it."
So what's your cons? What's your pros, and what do you want to rate this?
See, it's difficult. I think the story here is really cool. I want to give that like an 8.
An 8. Okay.
But if I was, I hate the dialogue and the thoughts. So for me, I'm so scared.
I'm judging you, Maddie. Keep on.
Well, I know. That's why I hate it. I hate having to review X-Men. So I would lean on like a 6 for me.
Really? That
It's
low?
not a 4. It's not a 4 of Dark Phoenix. The story is much higher for me. The plot points. If you were to rewrite this for right now, I would give it a much higher score.
Okay.
But for me personally, I cannot stand being over-explained to.
Okay.
I think he's a great writer. This is just how it is early 80s. And early, it's just not for me. And
so overall score 7?
I think that's nice.
Okay.
I think that's
I kind of bumped you up there. I was like, do we want to say instead of a 6, do we want to say a 7?
That's right. When I was reading this, I was like, oh no.
No, it is fair. Like, this era of comics may not be for somebody who's drawing comics a lot later. You know, like I get that. To me, this is the era that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I really love the 80s and 90s of X-Men. Like, that is my meat and potatoes. That is what I gravitate to. That is my knowledge. And then we get to things like Age of Apocalypse and I'm out. I'm out, man. For some reason, they just did not connect very well. That's when I left comics. Omar tried to get me back into comics. He's like, man, you read comics? Like, when we first met, he was like, you read comics? You like X-Men? I was like, yeah, I freaking love. But Age of Apocalypse, I'm out. I'm out. Like, I think I need to, now that I'm older, revisit some of those titles. Like, I did pick up like Gambit and the Externals and stuff and see if that's, maybe I like them a little bit better. But for me, this is a solid 9. Like, it's not the greatest, best, you know, like sparkling gold-plated issue, but it is so high up there for me. And I think the only thing that does take it down a notch is some of that over-explaining as an adult. Like, as a kid, this was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
As an adult, you know, I've notched it down a little bit just because there is some stuff that, you know, we get already. We understand this. And there's actually a little bit more. I wish this was actually more than just 2 issues.
That would be nice. I feel like it is rushed.
Right, but it is amazing for 2 issues. It gives you everything that you need. It is, you know, very like you can drop yourself into 2 issues and you don't need really any more, and you don't really need anything beforehand. It's kind of like a self-contained starter story. So this is an excellent jumping on point for somebody. I think.
Agree. And Scott Summers isn't in it, so that's great.
That is If
And
people know
honestly,
me,
I love that Jean's not in it either because I'm not a Jean fan.
I do not like Jean. I don't like Jean Grey. I don't like Cyclops. I actually don't mind some iterations of like Phoenix. Um,
Listen,
the
okay,
Goblin Queen.
here's the thing. And it's, you know what? Maybe this is something I need to revisit in myself. It's probably from being an Evolution fan first. I think it's because of her and that because I loved Rogue.
I can tell you exactly why I didn't like Jean Grey. Jean Grey, as sort of like a girl that was not the it girl, she was the it girl. She was
Yeah,
popular. All the guys wanted
it's
her.
probably our trauma. It's where it's like,
Right. I think it is me putting like, and I saw the it girls, and they could be really nice. Like sometimes Jean is really nice. She's really good. I don't like her. I find her honestly kind of boring sometimes. I think the writers always project their idealistic woman at times onto Jean,
yeah,
and I don't necessarily connect with that. Like I get what they're going for. I think Jean can be written very interesting. I think sometimes her dynamic is very cool. But she has never struck a chord with me. So
yeah.
for
And
me,
the thing
it's
is,
just
I don't
personal
relate
preference.
to her.
Mm-mm.
Like all the other girls, I think I do. Like, I mean, Rogue #1, of course, but like Kitty, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. See,
Magic,
I mean, I
Jubilee,
fell in love with
Armor.
Jubilee because I was a young kid at the time. Like Jubilee
Jubilee's
is
so you.
absolutely a nostalgic thing. Jubilee was absolutely me as a kid. Man, I wanted to be Jubilee. I wanted to dress like Jubilee. I wanted to play like go to the arcade, and I went to the arcade all the time, play games, like just be Jubilee. Um, Jean, no, I wasn't an adult woman. I wasn't the it girl. Yeah.
Have either of you read Grant's X-Men? What did you think of Jean there? If so, I feel like I must have.
I probably have. Like I said, there have been good iterations of Jean, just nothing I really truly connected with. I don't like Cyclops just because of the character that he poses. Always also reminds me of sort of the it guy.
Yeah. Let me reread it, Sean. Let you know. I do like Jean and now see I'm worried about saying this because I think people probably don't like it. There's a point where later on Jean Grey comes back as her younger self,
Mm-hmm.
like separately into
Yeah.
like the modern timeline, and I love her in that.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Jean in that because I feel like I can relate to her more because she's not. You're seeing a Jean that's not there with like all the young guys at the same time. Who's got to be this like perfect the girl, right? She's
Right.
like separate. I really like her in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that people like that one or not.
I think sometimes she
Oh,
seems
that's
almost
one.
flawed, but also too perfect. It's a weird dynamic.
For a more modern take on the retro continuity series, Days of Future Past Doomsday that follows how the future time unfolds. I was looking at that. I think I want to read it this week because
Definitely.
I like this
Well,
enough that I really want to.
good. Continue on with it. And that's so great. That's why we should revisit old stories like this. That's why I don't mind reiterations of older
Oh yeah,
stories, revisitations, because it's like, oh, now that I've read this, I want to read this. So you could have somebody who reads that future iteration of essentially this timeline and goes, I want to see where it started, and it gets somebody hooked into an older story like
well,
this.
and even if I don't always rate some of these as like my highest, it doesn't mean like for some of them I still see them as like essential reading. So after reading
Mhm.
this, it's something that I would recommend to people getting into X-Men, right? Just like how there's
Right.
some DC events where I'm like, maybe the writing or art's not my favorite, but I do see the importance of them as like essential to like understanding the journey as a whole, like the path as a whole for everyone.
Right.
Um, what else did I talk about? But now okay, so now that things are back, I want you to come back on. And
Okay.
I want to have you read either like a non-big two or a DC book.
Okay. Now you did
I
suggest of Robin. Was it Robin?
oh
No, no, no. It was
Boy Wonder.
Boy Wonder, which
It's so
I was
good, but
like,
it's
"Hey,
not out.
Omar, do you have this?" And he's like, "It's not coming out until February," which at the time we were discussing it was in January.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, no, I can't borrow that from your library, sir."
Well, that's why I was like, come on, Omar, get us our Nearman DC universe DC Infinite.
See, and my
So good.
problem with DC is nothing. So I love Batman. I love the animated series. But to me, nothing ever struck my chord.
You need me, okay? Listen, the other guys, they're gonna be like, you gotta read this big book. You gotta read this number one. No.
Well, you say that,
Listen,
Maddie, but for the
listen.
past couple of months, like Omar explained Green Lantern one time, and I was like, you know what? That makes me interested in Green Lantern. I kind of want to read Green Lantern right now.
Yeah.
But that's the
Listen.
only, I think one of the
No,
only.
you just gotta come to me, okay? Okay, I'll give you Far Sector. Okay,
My
the new
sister was
Power,
obsessed with Wonder Woman.
the new Power Girl, very good. I don't know why I'm doing this.
I know of Power Girl. I've read some Power Girl
No,
stuff.
the new Power Girl is very good. I'm not talking about old Power Girl. I'm talking about the new one. Very good. Some Birds of Prey. Some Wonder Woman Historia.
Okay.
Okay. So
Right.
there's a new Superman book that I thought about putting on. I think I might still do that and have Jessica Ashcroft come on, where it's I think I told you about it. It's a high school Clark Kent, but he's dealing with incels.
Oh yeah, you
And
told
it's great. It's great. But man, the Boy Wonder was really cool. It had like a very gothic-y feel to it. So I'll have to buy that when it comes out. Birds of Prey is so good. All the iterations.
all the iterations.
And the newest one's great because Big Bart is in it, and she's big.
Wait. You've mentioned Big Barda several times.
Let me show you her. She's Maddie coded, to be honest.
I love how Maddie tries to sell me comics. Like she's like, you need to get into this because of this.
Well, this is not one
different than how Omar tries to sell me comics.
What's he? Oh, Poison Ivy. Oh yeah, shit. Forget about everything else. The new Poison Ivy run is incredible. Imagine you're gay, but also you're kind of being a cool serial killer. But also you're gardening.
I did see several people online, and I've got some mutuals online that are really into like Poison Ivy and DC and stuff, and they're always like,
so good. You just gotta trust me because I know you, okay? Now, but I'm going to show you Big Barda. Now, Big Barda is not my selling point for you, okay? I'm not going Big Barda forward with you.
I feel like, honestly, I feel like
she's for you, okay? She's for me.
I think I'm a wedge in between you and Omar, what your likes are. So like what you're trying to sell me and what Omar's trying to sell me are totally opposite. But if you get somewhere in the middle, that's me.
Oh, I've got the sweet spots, okay? Now it's not Big Barda. I've got other things for you. But I just need you to know she exists and I love her.
All right.
And she's real strong. She's real strong though.
But strong people aren't my thing, Maddie.
That's why I said I'm not leading with that with you, okay? That's why I said. She's for me. I have different books, but I brought her up and you said, tell me about her. And so I did.
Okay.
But I'm going to bring different people to your court, okay?
Gotcha.
I'm not even going to bring Roy Harper. I may love him, but I know that's not your place. That's not your guy. Right. I'm going to bring you different people. Nightwing, the Nightwing book's great.
Okay.
You would love it. Easy pick. Far Sector. I've reviewed twice on this channel already, but you should read Far Sector.
Okay. Dom was trying to be like, my most anticipated was Nightwing, but he wasn't selling it good. I was like, Dom, I don't want to read this now. You got to try to sell it to me.
This one, now listen, I've done this on my show twice already, but I think I can do it again anyways. Okay. Now, you have a Green Lantern. Mm-hmm. She used to be a cop, but she has a lot of trauma from that. Because it wasn't going great because reasons we can all not be surprised by. Gotcha. She is sent to a faraway galaxy that doesn't have a Green Lantern. And she's really if I can curse, it's 9. She's really fucking cute. And she is really cool, and people there flirt with her, and it's a bunch of alien races, and she's great. And you don't have to know anything about anything. And Jamal Campbell does the art, which means it's the best. I'll give a write-up. I'll give you some write-ups about stuff, and then you can decide for later.
Okay.
I won't even give you a Wonder Woman book.
You've let me borrow some. I think you've let me borrow Wonder Woman before.
Oh, I'm sure I have.
I've read them. See, that's my thing. If I'm not interested in it, I'm just gonna like kind of forget about it.
Book I've read. So I mean, because I like twice Batgirl Year One, I reviewed with Jess, and I was like, oh, we've never reviewed this before. And then we get here and we're like, wait a second. She and I together had reviewed Batgirl Year One a year before, and it's just forgotten that we had done it.
See, that happens. It happens a lot. Like, I'll be like reading something, I'm like, I've read this before, you know?
Oh yeah, whole novels I've just forgotten.
Like, I've read so much Squirrel Girl, and I can't remember that much about. Like, I love that character. I love Squirrel Girl, but like, I can't remember what goes on half the time. You know?
Yeah. Anytime you're reading FML by DeConnick, Crisis recommended. It's great. I haven't. I'm a little behind on like Nabe too. Because usually when my internet was working, I had a more like constant loop of like talking about other things. But
well, now you do. Now you can discuss things.
That's true.
I really do need to get back more into some titles. Titles that I've been meaning to read that I never actually did. Like, I put it on my list, like Snot Girl.
Oh, well, let's do Snot Girl. This is back.
I think at one point in time we were supposed to read Snot Girl and didn't. Maybe we even did, but
I don't know what you're doing next month, but you're coming over to watch. We're going to talk about Snot Girl, and we can pick. I'll buy you the newest issues because I'm going to buy them anyways. Oh yeah, let's talk Snot Girl.
Okay.
I'm so glad it's back. Oh my god, I'm glad it's back. I need to call our local comic book store and make sure it's on my pull list. Ugh, I've missed her. She's me, although I'm not as snotty anymore. I got my nose fixed.
Oh, that's right. You got it fixed. Yeah, that's right. Now, all I basically read is manga now. That's.
Please, can I just come over and sit in your room and read? Because that's all I want to do.
Like, we need to go back, and now it's devolved into like Maddie and Tina catching up.
Well, now it's hangout time.
That's fine. I need to finish this room out. I've got 2 slim tall billies here. I've got 2 big ones here. I've got the Kalax, but I need to go back to IKEA and get at least 2 more billies because I want to like move some of my games so they're not like double, triple stacked. And I want to get a couple more shelves so I can actually curate my manga a little bit better because I've got it all mixed in. Like, I have my.
I'm gonna get you some of the
pocket zine in here with my big udon books.
Well, if you want to go in February, beginning of March, before I go to Scotland in March.
Scotland? What you doing in Scotland?
It's for work.
The worst accent ever.
I'll see if I can do old reader, new reader from there. I'm gonna try to meet up with Hayden, and they'll take me to a comic book shop. That's the plan.
Nice.
I don't know if you have any viewers in Scotland. Let me know. I'll be in Edinburgh, so hit me up or tell me where to go, because I don't know. If you're cool, if you're a creepo serial killer, don't interact with me.
She's not going to Edinburgh if you're that kind.
If that's the case, no, I'm not going.
She's going to Edinburgh, Kentucky. I'm sure there is an Edinburgh, like.
There's gotta be. I mean, we have a
Paris, Kentucky.
There's another. Scotland place. What is it? It's main Scotland cities. Let me see. Because we have
Glasgow.
Glasgow. We have Glasgow, yeah.
Yeah.
Paris.
It took me a moment. I was like, I went to a college
Glasgow,
that was right next to it. Glasgow.
And Versailles.
Versailles?
Versailles? Not Kentucky. Versailles.
Man, we've got so many. London, Kentucky.
Oh.
We've got Frankfort. We've got Versailles. We've got Edinburgh.
Just drive north 200 miles to come hang out with me. I'll also be in Inverness for a few days. So I'll be in Edinburgh and I'll be in Inverness. And then I will go home.
200 miles, that's nothing for somebody from the States.
For us, it's like, yeah, that's fine.
That was me going back and forth, but I would do that every weekend, like once 200 miles and then back 200 miles for school.
Yeah, mine was a 6.5 hours drive to school. But, well, I'll be back next week. I'm not sure who's going to be on the show next week. I think it's going to be Jessica Ashcraft. I think I'll have her read that Superman graphic novel because I really did like it. And then the week after, me and Omar and Amanda are reading Daredevil to get ready for the new show.
I hear Daredevil has always been a consistent, solid book.
Yeah, the stuff I've read I really liked. I kind of like with Marvel, it's weird because I guess it's everything. I kind of just go in and out. I just kind of show up and I read some stuff, and I never read like long term.
Oh, so yeah, like Daredevil, like
I tend to just
everything
read
I read of him was always solid, but you always kind of pick what you want to read from certain things.
Yeah, and same with X-Men. Like I've read a lot of X-Men, but I've read a lot of modern, just like, and I'll just be like, oh, I'll read this person's writing of X-Men for a while. Or I'll read this, or I'll read like the offshoot stuff.
Gotcha.
Like X Factor or whatever. But man, I hope we get near mint DC Universal Ultra because it was incredible. For the week I had it for like the free trial, I read like 22 books.
Really?
I was just like, it was great. It was there's nothing like hyper fixating and just reading everything. I wish there was more manga like apps besides like Shonen Jump because that's the best. I mean, I read like all of Kaiju number 8. Like it was just, that's the day I want. It's just like just straight reading for hours.
I'm torn about digital media right now because like
I'd rather have it physically.
I want to own it physically, but there's only like you have to pick and choose what you collect with. That's the whole issue. It is an expensive hobby, and like you've got to be like, oh well, I've got to collect this, but I really also want to collect this, but now I want to collect this, and digital gives you the opportunity of previewing that book first before you say, oh, maybe I do actually want to buy this. Or, you know what, on second thought, I was going to buy this. I didn't really like it. And for me, like, I do want to support the publishers. I want to support, but I only have so much money.
That's why I want it best of both worlds. I want to be able to read it and then be like, okay, this is the one for me. Because I know, like, which had to tell you, I'm going to get it all. Oshinoko, I'm going to get it all. I want all of Apothecary Diaries. I want all of Freerun because I know that regardless, those are going to be like ones I'll go back to.
Freerun Volume 12 comes out here in next week, I believe. I think it's on the 11th.
Your girl's poor until after Japan, so I gotta save that
I've already
money.
got it pre-ordered.
Yeah, it's okay. You're back. You went to Japan last year. It's fine. I'll join you next year. Okay. This year, it's all about going and spending all of my money on figures. Okay, this doesn't matter to you guys in the chat, but Tina, while I'm there,
yes,
or maybe I already told you, figured out then, I don't think I did, but Ikebukuro Station,
you did,
is, oh shit.
It's okay.
I thought it was new. ADHD. My favorite manga, well, right now, Oshinoko, is having a special thing at the station, and they'll have like a virtual like performance from the pop dance group, and I'm like, I'm so excited. And I think there's gonna be a ramen 1/2 cafe while I'm in Osaka as well. So I'm gonna try to hit that up.
So yeah, Oshinoko. It's great.
My queen, my lady.
I think volume 9 is coming out here soon.
Yeah, a couple weeks, I think.
I think so.
And then Tina and I are going to be busy this year because Lunar 1 and 2 are coming out. So
like I mentioned, Maddie, myself, and Omar have like this little thread, and I was like, literally when they announced it, like I've been following Gung Ho, which is like doing it. I noticed the other day that it had April, so I'm like, oh.
Well, that's what they said was coming out is April. They just hadn't had it.
They said in spring, and then they kind of like gave a generic, like kind of like somewhere around there, but they have an official date on their thing, which may change. It may always change. They don't yet have it for reserve on any website that I know of, but you can wish list it.
Oh man, I was trying to find a picture of us in our cosplay, but all I did was find pictures of me in it.
It's okay.
But I'm very excited. Yeah, I cried when I was sobbing. I was just like, I could not believe it. But anyways, Tina, thank you for hanging out, and we'll keep you any longer. This is really nice.
No, you're fine.
I miss you. Nice. If you're free next month, I'd really like you to come on again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yay. I forgot what I said that we'd read already. Did you read Red Sonja yet? Have I had you read that?
I've read Red Sonja. I actually did a review for one of the videos for Omar before, so I've read Red Sonja before.
But have you read Gail Simone Red Sonja?
I've read the best of Red Sonja. I own it. Okay. No.
So I'll send you some ideas. I'll be the old one this time. Oh no, Snot Girl. Snot Girl. Never mind. Snot Girl.
These are the only two that I've read.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I'll send you some ideas.
Snot Girl.
Thank you. If you're catching this later, I hope you like this video. Comment down below your thoughts about X-Men Days of Future Past. Don't bully me. I'll cry.
Be gentle on Maddie. Please like and subscribe. Let us know if you want us to go over or read something that might be new to us or old to us. We're interested in what you want to see.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, guys. And we'll see you all next time. Bye.
See you in the future.
Oh, that was good.